Good morning, afternoon, evening, everyone. Two Geeks Talking is an entertainment industry interview show where we interview the creative people from the comic, film, TV, movie, and video game industries. And of course, I'm your host, Kurt Sasso. We are joined today by a very talented person who has been on the show before. In fact, it was 6 years ago through, ironically, a Facebook reminder that he messaged me again. You know his work, of course, from Blue Dream Studios with the Dreamland Chronicles. You also have a brand new film coming out called Animal Crackers with an amazing cast and a fun trailer as well. We'll get into that later in the show. We're joined today by Scott Christian Sava. How are you doing today, Scott?
Doing good, Kurt. Good morning. It's good to be back.
Yes, it's been far too long. 6 years is an incredible experience, but not as long as your comic itself, which was all 3D rendered, which we'll talk about as well too. I mean, 11 years making Dreamland Chronicles. It's incredible.
Yeah. It was actually 2003 is when my boys were born. I started it technically 2002. We finished it 2017. So I mean, it was a good run, and it was bittersweet when we finished it because my twin boys, they were. Let's see, they're they were 14 at the time, and they didn't know what to do because they had grown up with it. I mean, since they were born, it was hey, here's Dad's new book, here's a new chapter, and they would help me edit it and give me ideas and inspiration, and so it was bittersweet. It was nice to finish it the way I wanted to, but it was sad to go away.
And the fact that you were using 3D Studio Max for the entire rendering and creation of this comic for over to 2,000 pages, something like that. It's amazing.
Yeah. Well, it started with Spider-Man. My childhood dream back in 2002 was fulfilled to be the artist of Spider-Man, and Marvel. I had gone to Marvel every year for 15 years since I was 16 years old, trying to get the job as a penciler, as an inker, as a colorist, as a painter, anything, and I just never get through. Kept getting rejected. And it was actually Marv Wolfman who suggested that I try taking my day job of animation and putting it into comic book, and I did that, and got a call from Axel Alonso saying, we'd love this. And I got to do Spider-Man, and I'd never done anything like that. And so I had to learn on the job, so to speak, on the biggest thing of my life, because that was all I ever wanted to be, was the artist of Spider-Man. So I worked on it for 10 months. The comic came out, and the 4 issues and a graphic novel, and I thought, I've learned so much making this that I want to see if I can improve upon it. And that's where I just decided to do that with Dreamland. And I threw in just all of our money, all of my time. I asked for every favor I could. I paid, as much as I could to every artist to help me to design the characters, to model the characters, everything I could do, the environments and everything. So I just kind of just threw everything at it. And I tried not to shy away from big battle scenes and multiple locations and too many people, and so I did the best I could, and so I'm proud of setting up a challenge and finishing it. But in 2016, I realized that it was 13 years of working with those models, that the software had changed so much that the rig systems wouldn't hold on the newer computers and the newer software. The textures weren't holding up. I couldn't get the scenes to open. I was using rendering software that the company had gone out of business, and I couldn't get any more updates. And I couldn't do the last chapter. And so I had to actually step away from the 3D and ask Tracy Bailey, who had done a couple books with me before, to come in and take over. And that was, again, it was bittersweet, because on one hand, it was really sad because I felt like I had come all this way and I stopped at the 10-yard line. But on the other hand, her work brought so much more life that I just couldn't do with those models. And so it was good and it was bad, but we got it finished.
Well, it's been an exciting reread for me because it's been. I have the actual graphic novels, and I've supported your Kickstarter campaigns and everything like that in the past. And truly, it's one of those books that if slash whenever I have kids, they'll be reading that first off. I mean, besides Sesame Street and all that, but that'll be their first actual books that they read.
Thank you, man.
And it's just incredible. You've had a wonderful career, and when this ended, what did you do? Like, was it a sigh of relief? What is it? Was it I have to do the next project right away? Like,
you know, about in 2013, I started working on getting funding to take one of my books because I had created a bunch. The boys were so inspirational having kids. I wrote like a dozen books. So Dreamland wasn't the only book. I wrote Pet Robots, Extraterrestrials, Magic Carpet, My Grandparents Are Secret Agents, Cameron and His Dinosaurs. I mean, ton of books. I got some interest from Harvey Weinstein, and so we did an animated short, and we got James Arnold Taylor and Tara Strong to do some voices for us, and we showed it to him, and he really liked it. And long story short, it didn't work out with Harvey, but in 2014, I was able to get financing for film, and so in 2014 and I'm still doing Dreamland, and I was still updating as best as I could. But by 2016, I mean, I was so knee deep in the film, and that I wound up. It was good that I was handing stuff over to Tracy, and she took over because I just my production had just slowed down anyhow. But yeah, I mean, I think you're always trying to give yourself more things to do, and I've got more stories I'd like to tell. I really did love making movies. That was a really fun thing. And so if I can do that again, that would be good too. And I'd love to do a Dreamland series. I think that would be a great animated series.
Netflix, if you're watching this, by all means, contact them because that would be amazing there.
Please.
You've done so much in your life. You've been an amazing father, and you've had a wonderful supporting family. What have they brought to your creativity?
Yeah, I think I would have gone totally Van Gogh. If I was left alone, I'd be cutting off body parts and wallowing in my own self-pity. Donna, my wife, she's my partner and everything. I mean, we've known each other now. I mean, we met when we were 19, and I just turned 50. So we've known each other longer than we didn't know each other, and so I can't imagine life without her. And we waited till we were 30 something to have the kids, and so we had a good run of trying stuff out, and just being just the two of us. And then so when we had the kids, we were ready to dedicate everything to the kids. And I think that's been amazing, to see. It's funny because you have kids, and the first thing I wanted to do was introduce them to all the comic books that I grew up on, and so I went out and I bought those giant Marvel, books, and introduced them to Speed Racer and Bugs Bunny and all stuff. And then as they get older, you can introduce them to Star Wars. And then a little older, Lord of the Rings, and then Indiana Jones, and and we just watched The Matrix, and it was just, it's like reliving your childhood, and doing so. I mean, they take to stuff differently than you did because they're completely different people, and that's great. But we play video games together, and when we go travel, like with the movie, we got to go to Spain and Paris and London, and just to see everything through their eyes, it's just amazing. And so it's and I think you need that. I think, that's how it is. I mean, you get to one stage and you kind of start over with kids, and then I think after they're gone or whatever, you have grandkids, and then you kind of start over again. And it's kind of like a reboot, kind of like it refreshes you, and so I'm embracing it. I really like it.
That's wonderful. And you mentioned that you want to get back into films, and of course, Animal Crackers, plug here, is I honestly I think I had seen it in the past, but this is the first time I actually got to watch the trailer, and thank you for pointing that out. And it looks incredible. It looks like a film that I want to see in the theaters as soon as it opens.
Meet Owen and Zoe. Day after day, they wake up and go through the same old routine.
I'm eating dog biscuits for a job. Your dad has me eating dog biscuits.
You know, kinda.
Biscuits for dogs.
They both work too hard.
Hey, sweetie, I have a board meeting in a couple of minutes. Can you just grab Mackenzie from daycare?
Yeah, sure thing, honey.
They need a change. And I've got just the thing. Surprise! You are now the proud owners of one rundown, worn-out circus.
This is what we always wanted.
Keep this box close. It's yours now. The secret to the circus is inside.
Old animal crackers? They're probably gross, right?
They're gross.
Ah! I'm a hamster! Holy moly, holy moly, holy moly, holy moly.
Daddy's cute.
Thank you, Angel.
How would you like to be human again?
How do these things work?
It's magic.
I don't believe
They hate it. They didn't come here to see acrobats. They didn't come here to see clowns.
animals.
I'm not a performer.
Animals, Daddy, animals.
I'm supposed to land in that?
Yeah.
That looks like a fishbowl.
Take it easy, horsey.
Oh. Oh. Left, left, left. I mean right. My right. Ah!
They say a circus is a lot like a family, but every family needs that special something that holds it all together.
Fantastic.
That's how the cookie crumbles.
Oh
Check out these specs. Look at him go. Look at him go.
How is it that he gets paid
Look
more
at
than
him
me?
go.
I don't know, honey.
Does it bother you when I'm this close?
Your breath is not great.
Yeah.
This is too close.
As soon as it opens.
Thanks. Well, that's it's a tragic tale. Making the film was an amazing experience. I live here in a hobbit hole in Franklin, Tennessee, and my friend Jaime Maestro out in Valencia, Spain. He and we started up an animation studio, and so we just it's a bunch of friends. I mean, I there was hundreds of people, and a ton of them were friends of mine, so I can't name them all, but it was Valencia and it was Franklin, Tennessee, and we're making a Hollywood movie that just became bigger and bigger and bigger. Ian McKellen was the first one to sign up, and I just, I literally at the time was, while I was writing it, I was introducing my boys to Lord of the Rings, and so when I was writing Horatio, I had Ian McKellen's voice in my head, and when he said yes and he signed on, I was just like, oh my God, because we were nobody. No one was even considering anything. And when Sir Ian signed on, it was amazing. And then when he did, Sylvester Stallone, who had been kind of waffling, was like, oh, Ian McKellen's on, then I'll come on, and Danny DeVito came on, and then and so it was just an incredible experience, going to London and meeting him and hanging out with Stallone and DeVito and John and Emily and everybody. It was just, I was so in awe, and I didn't know. I mean, thank God for Xanax, 'cause I don't know if I could have made it. But I mean, and you had Harvey Fierstein, you had Wallace Shawn, who was the Sicilian from The Princess Bride. You had Gilbert Gottfried, Raven Simone, Patrick Warburton, you had Tara Strong and James Arnold Taylor. I mean, it was just amazing, and so 2014 and 2015 were, well, 2014 was kind of building up. 2015, I remember it was January. I went out to LA for the first session with John, and it was just, wow, it's real, and Danny DeVito came in, and it's just like, I can't believe this is happening. And listening to these actors that you grew up watching and idolizing. I mean, if you ever get a chance, look at the movies that Danny DeVito, because you go, oh yeah, I love that movie. Oh, I love that movie. Oh, I love that movie. I love that. And it's just like he just, there's so many movies and TV shows that, and you're listening to them read words that you wrote. So you're familiar with the work, and you're the only one who knows that work because you sat at your computer and you were coming up with this stuff, and now they're writing it. And which is funny, because when I found out that Ian McKellen said yes, I went and I rewrote all of his dialogue. I was like, I got to look up Shakespeare. I got to go and find, it's got to be worthy of him, and it was just it was just an amazing experience, and something I'll never forget. And then in 2016, at the end of 2016, beginning of 2017, we finished the film, and the film's been done. And the company that we were supposed to come out with, they were going into bankruptcy, and then so we went to a different company, and they ran out of money. And now we're with our third company with this guy named Byron Allen, and I guess he's broke too, because it's been a year, it's been 13 months now, and he just can't put the film out. And so and it's crazy, because these people, they spend a lot of money marketing films that are not supposed to make a lot of money, like movies like Chappaquiddick or Hostiles, with Christian Bale. They're not bad movies, but they're not going to make $100 million in the box office.
Yeah.
That's just not what they're supposed to. But they'll go and they'll spend $30 million marketing it, and wonder why they lost money when the movie only makes $29 million. And so you can't fix the distributors, So that's been the tragedy of it. Is the film's been done for 2 years now, and no one's seen it. And so I'm talking to other studios and hoping that 2019 we can get the film out. And
well, I think with the fact that Enter the Spider-Verse did extremely well, I think that's would be the way the studios can say, hey, animation is now big again, even though it's always been big. Now we have this, people want to go see things like this, and you have an amazing cast, and it's, you're an incredible writer, and you've put a lot of time into this, and the fact that this amazing film should be seen by the masses. This would be a great, if not summer film, spring film, whatever. I mean, it needs to be in theaters to be seen, truly, and hopefully you get something soon.
You would hope, and thank you. But honestly, when in 2016, I think it was 2016 or 2017. I think it was 2017, Christmas time. I was in London. We were doing the EPK, which is the electronic press kits, where you ask them a bunch of questions about how much they love working on the film and whatnot. Mm-hmm. And we were there for Sir Ian McKellen. He just asked me Ian, but still I like to call him Sir Ian. And Emily was starting work on Mary Poppins.
Ah.
So she, I'm sorry, I'm hearing feedback.
Are you?
Audio, yeah.
I'm
I don't know. It's not hitting you though, right?
no, not on my side. No.
Okay, good. Then I'll just ignore it and I'll start over. So it was in 2017. We went to. I had to go to London to go to do the EPK, which is the electronic press kits, where they interview the actors and whatnot to interview Sir Ian McKellen. And Emily was starting production on Mary Poppins, and so we scheduled her and John to do the EPK there as well. And while we were there, John was telling me that he's like, hey, we had such a great time working on Animal Crackers together because it was their first film they'd ever done anything together. We want to do another movie together. And I got this script that I'm working on. He's telling me all about this movie that he's going to call A Quiet Place. And so that was 2017. And I was like, oh, this is going to be great. And so Animal Crackers was supposed to be, hey, here's our first film together. And then A Quiet Place was going to come out a year later and be their second film, their first live action. My film sat, and then out comes A Quiet Place, and it's this huge hit. And even that wasn't enough to get the film out. Even Mary Poppins, even John as Jack Ryan, it's just nothing seems to be triggering it, and it has nothing to do with our film per se, so much as Animal Crackers was supposed to be his little film. I mean, it wasn't a. It was supposed to be. We didn't even spend $20 million making this film. Animated films cost $150 million. We had no budget, but Sir Ian McKellen, Sylvester Stallone, Danny DeVito, all of them came in and they worked for next to nothing. They weren't getting their millions of dollars. They knew we were on a small budget, but they really liked the script. We got music from Queen, Michael Bublé, Huey Lewis and the News, Toad the Wet Sprocket, Howard Jones. We got Bear McCreary composed the music. Bear did The Walking Dead and Battlestar Galactica. He's doing the new Godzilla movie. Carter Goodrich, who designed Monsters, Inc. and Finding Nemo, Ratatouille, Brave, Despicable Me, Coco. He designed the characters for us. Tony Bancroft, who directed Mulan, co-directed with me. Dean Lorry, who wrote Arrested Development, co-wrote with me. We had just everybody that we shouldn't have been able to afford came on to our film and lended their extreme talent to the film, to where now suddenly this little film looked like a big film. And so, whereas normally we would say, hey Netflix, here, just give us the money that it costs to make the film and go put it on Netflix, and we would have all been happy. Everybody said, no, this is a big summer blockbuster film. We've got to spend $50 million to market it. We've got to do this. And we're saying, but I got to pay back my investors the $20 million. Oh, they'll get back their money. It's going to make so much money. So these studios want to go big, but then they can't afford big because they're not big studios. So, and the big studios don't want the film because it competes with their big animated films. So I'm constantly, I'm in this weird area where no one makes animated films independently that are at this quality. I mean, they'll make something that looks like Norm of the North, where they do it for like $6 or $7 million, and it looks like like an old TV show or something. And the cast isn't very big and whatnot. I mean, they're doing a sequel to Norm of the North. It's just because they make it so cheap, and they already know that they can make their money back, and that's their thing. But what happened was we made it look too good, and our cast got too big. And so now it can't just go direct to Netflix. It can't just go direct to Amazon. It can't have a small little release in theaters and so it's just this hot potato that just keeps getting, passed back and forth between everybody in Hollywood who says that they can do it, and then it turns out they can't. And so it's been frustrating. The last couple of years have been pretty frustrating, which is why I'm kind of happy to get back into comic books and just kind of leave that off to the side and see what happens.
And this is another psychological session from Two Geeks Talking, so I'm glad you can talk. No, I completely understand. It's definitely is frustrating with that type of stuff, and hopefully something comes soon, if not eventually. Because this can't be sat on for years and years. This is, well, it already has been, but I'm saying this shouldn't be sat on. This is incredible, truly. So, that being said, back to the comic book world that we're all familiar with, because film is difficult in general. But you're back. You know, are you retelling the story, or are you continuing the story? I guess is what was one of my questions.
I'm going to retell the story because you look back at your work from 2003, and you're like, wait, you know, I was just learning how to write. You know, I hadn't really written anything at that point. And so I remember the first chapter, I did not write it. I illustrated it. And then I went in, I put in word bubbles. So I remember being at a point where I was like, okay, for some reason here, Daniel's mad at Alex. I got to figure something out, you know? And I was like, I was doing it visually, you know? And I had the kids at the beginning who were just flying through Dreamland, climbing down the thing, and Paddington saying he was scared of heights. Like, you were just flying, you know? And so now I get to go back and I get to rework those things and fix some of those inconsistencies. And knowing how the story ends, I could go back and add a little bit more Easter eggs, you know, to hint towards the ending, which is good. And so there's that. I would love to go back and retell it, but here's the crazy thing. It took me 13, 14 years to finish Dreamland the first time. Tracy's already got the last chapter, so that's 300 pages she doesn't have to deal with, but she's got to still, you know, do, 1,900, I don't know how many pages she has to do, but by my calculations, if she does 5 pages a week for 8 years, it'll take her to get the whole book done. And I'm sure when she gets done with that, she might look at the pages she did back in 2017 and go, oh God, I want to redo some of these pages. But I think at that point we would collect it maybe as one big book. I don't know. I don't even know if that's possible, but collect it as one big book. And then I think if she's not crazy by then and she doesn't hate me, I think I'll have a ton more stories to write in Dreamland, and I think that would be fun. But again, 8 years from now, I would love to have an animated series. I don't know if you had a chance to see the test animation that someone had put up. If you get a chance, go to the Dreamland Chronicles Facebook page, or even the Patreon page we set up. We did an animated. Couple fans contacted me and said, "Hey, can we do a little animated short?"
In the meantime, let's take a look at the teaser here.
are you and where did you come from? How did you release the sword from its resting place?
Well,
Speak, boy. Your very life depends on it.
the Cyclops caused a landslide, and I wanted to see what was inside.
How much did you read on the dais?
I wasn't gonna keep it, honest.
You must return the sword, do you understand? I'm the protector of this tomb. This sword that you yield, it is pure evil.
Wow, that's amazing. There we go. Back to you.
So again, that was made by a talented artist and who just did it all on his own by himself. And he was hoping that maybe we can get like a Netflix deal or something like that. And obviously, I'm talking to people, but I think doing an animated series would be a lot of fun. Yeah. I really do. And like I said, if it the story I may never do more comic pages if an animated series comes along and we can kind of just fill out the world after that. I don't know, but I'd love to explore it some more.
And I'm sure we'd all love to watch it too. It's kind of funny. I've just watched the Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego on Netflix, and I was like, they need more stuff like this. I mean, it's the younger generation coming up doesn't know what we went through, what we grew up with. I mean, from computer games to, classic Star Wars, etc. I mean, we lived a great life, to be honest, when it comes to sci-fi and geekdom and everything like that. We were geeks before it was, became nerds and movies. It was, and it's just incredible for what's happening. The technology has advanced, the creativity of the masses have advanced as well too, and I can't wait to see what's happening in the next 2, 3, 5 years. It's going to be amazing.
It is. It's and I think hopefully the distribution becomes easier. Things like YouTube definitely makes that. I mean, if YouTube paid a little more, it would be a little better. But I'm hoping there's a better way to distribute animation and film. I just think it'd be. Right now I'm also trying. I've been putting up the Dreamland Chronicles on Webtoons. A couple people had recommended that, and so I'm trying to see about that and seeing if there's any future in that.
All right, that's interesting.
Yeah.
We've talked a lot in general, and I'm glad that you came back on because, like I said, it has been far too long. We're catching up after 6 years, which is it feels like yesterday since we talked.
Yeah.
But is there anything else you want to talk about or bring up here while we start to wrap up the show?
No. I've as an artist, I keep trying to figure out who I am and what's my purpose. There's times in my life where I felt really comfortable working on Dreamland, and I thought this is what I'm meant to do. Then I got to make the movie, and I thought, man, this is so fun. This is what I'm meant to do. I've been painting. I taught myself how to paint with gouache, and I've been now doing sketch journals where I go around and I, carry a journal like watercolor and ink, and so I feel like I keep reinventing myself, and yet I don't know who I am, and so I just for other fellow creators, I don't know if there's an answer to that. It's funny. I look at some of my friends, colleagues, who have an established style. You'll go like Scott Kurtz, or even Frank Cho, and you go, it when you see it. Lar D'Souza, and other, Tracy Bailey style, and you go, that's it. And I can't seem to even settle on a medium, whether it's film or CGI comics or paintings or sketching or I envy them because they kind of know their place in their world, and I'm sure they don't. I know when I talk to all of these friends, they're trying to figure life out too. But it's amazing how much time we spend looking at other people's work and wishing and hoping and praying and being jealous so every once in a while, especially since I turned 50, I'm trying to appreciate what I've been able to do and appreciate the journey and the opportunity that I've had. So I guess that's kind of where I am right now. It's just hopefully just appreciating it, despite the fact I may never know where my place is, but appreciate that at least I'm an artist, and artists aren't supposed to be rich or famous or anything, they're just supposed to make art, and if one or two people like their art, then that's good enough for me.
Actually, I'm going to ask you just a couple of last questions, just because it's been a while, and I don't know if I asked you this the last time. Everyone has that one person that kind of inspires them on their path to where they are today. Who is that for you?
I don't know if I have one person. I have 100 people. There's different kinds of inspiration. My father was he instilled in me a work ethic. That nothing is impossible, and he'll try anything. He was an elevator repairman. He worked on pinball machines. He went and worked at Lockheed and worked on like bombers, stealth bombers and stuff. And, he had no college education. He just figured, how hard could it be? And so I think that rubbed off on me. But, I look at musicians, I look at filmmakers, I look at painters, I look at fellow comic artists, I look at writers. And I think as I was working on the film and as politics got heated over the last almost decade, a real inspiration became Mr. Rogers. And I saw that clip, and I don't know if you've ever seen it. If not, look it up. But there's a clip where he is in front of Congress to try to salvage the funding for public education and public broadcasting. And this crotchety old senator or whatever is like, why should we give our hard-earned tax dollars to this? It's useless. And Mr. Rogers just treated him with kindness, and he was soft-spoken, and he was, his heart, his compassion, his love melted this Grinch of a senator's heart right in front of you, to where I think he had the guy almost in tears, and I think that inspired me so much to try to be that light, try to be that inspiration for people. And I don't even come, in a galaxy of something like that. But I think as long as you keep aspiring for something like that, if the world had more Mr. Rogers out there, what an amazing place it would be, And so I think that's a good one to stop on.
Yeah, no, the documentary is incredible as well too. If you ever get a chance, so
yeah, it's coming to HBO, so I'm gonna watch it.
Picked up the Blu-ray, so I still have to watch that stuff.
I was gonna go to the theater, but I just didn't want to cry throughout the theater.
I want to cry on my couch, darn it.
Yeah.
Next question. Obviously, you're very successful from a professional standpoint. Also, you're a really amazing painter, because when I was going to visual arts for arts and film for my university degree, I was watching you do your gouache stuff, and I'm like, darn it, you're just too talented. Stop it.
Thank you.
Because gouache was a pain for me. But anyhow, from a professional standpoint, you're extremely successful. Do you consider yourself personally successful?
No, I consider myself a failure in every sense of the word. That's why I'm trying to be content. It's amazing how much we, and I guess this is what social media is too. Look how many followers that person has. Look how many, this person's trending. This one's viral. And and my wife is always smacking me upside the head saying, stop comparing yourself to this person. Scott, stop comparing yourself to that person. And the ones that, because I just wish I found my home as an artist. I wish there was something comfortable that I can go back to, and just do. But every time I sit in front of the drawing table, I don't know what medium I'm going to use. I don't know what style I'm going to do. So I envy artists who I've been working with. I became friends with Greg Hildebrandt from the Hildebrandt brothers, and he just turned 80, and his style is the exact same style it was back in the 70s when he did Lord of the Rings, when he did the Star Wars poster, poster for the Clash of the Titans, and I feel like I would be so overjoyed to have that comfort of knowing that. I think of like Charles Schultz, just his whole life he just did Peanuts and it was comfortable. And then I try to think about how whenever I speak to these creators, how jealous they are of the fact that I'm trying something new every day, and that I'm making a movie now, and now I'm writing a new book, and now I'm doing this, and now I'm doing that, and I'm trying an animated series, and so I guess it's a grass is always greener type of thing, and coming to terms with that is the hardest thing. I wish I have been successful, not financially, but it's been an adventure of a career. I got to do Spider-Man. I got to make my own books. I got to make a movie. I've got to work in TV and film. Because of the movie, I got to fulfill a couple other dreams, which was I got to make a movie poster and I got to do album covers. So, and I had to make a movie to get that chance to do it, but darn it, I did it. And, but it has been a successful career, and I'm definitely thankful for it. I don't know if it's even possible to ever be content enough to appreciate it. I guess you have to keep pushing yourself and pushing yourself to try to remind yourself. I don't know. I don't even know if that's in our DNA to just be content. I guess because every day is a new day, and it's like, okay, well, what's next? And I hope I'm 100 one day and still saying what's next, But I guess when you're content is when you're supposed to die. I don't know, but I that's it. I wish in all humility, yes, I've been successful, and I'm thankful for it.
Okay, I think that's a great way to end the show right there. As always, Scott, don't wait 6 years to come on the show again, please.
I promise.
Okay, good stuff. In terms of social media and all that stuff, where can we find you? It's funny enough, but I had to kind of go private on my Instagram and Facebook because when I started the movie, I started getting people saying, "Hey, can you introduce me to Emily Blunt? Hey, can you tell Sylvester Stallone I said hi?" It was stuff like that. It was like, I don't know these people. I got to meet them, but it's like I don't have their cell phone numbers, and it just got so bad that people harassed me that I had to go private. But my Twitter account is open. I think it's just Sava, and I do have an Instagram account for my painted work, which is I think Sava Art. And then of course I have the Patreons. If you want to, I've got one for the Dreamland Chronicles, and I have one for the my sketchbook journals, which I think I'm going to open up just to all of my art. And
because I have no idea what I'm doing. So if you want to follow me along there, please do.
Good stuff. And yes, we'll definitely look at that, and we'll post it down below as well too.
Thanks, man.
Scott, as always, thank you for coming on the show. I do greatly appreciate it.
Love talking to you.
I love talking to you as well too. And as always, you can find this interview on twogeekstalking.com or tgtmedia.com. You can find his past interview as well, 6 years ago, if you search through the archives of the thousands of interviews I've done in the past 10, 11 years now, on that website as well. You can find me, though, at Kurt Sasso on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, etc. And, of course, the Facebook page is Two Geeks Talking. And tune in next week for another wonderful, great interview from another talented, amazing person, because that's who we have on the show, because we're here to promote you, to promote your work, your life, your talent. And that's what Two Geeks Talking is all about. So thanks for listening and watching, everyone. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and all that other jazz, because gotta love, what we do, or else I can't pay any bills whatsoever. Thanks again. Have a great night. And we're good.
Cool, man. Thank you. We got to do this a little more often than every 6 years.
Yeah, exactly.